it's good. Good for the lungs. People can hear when you're calling them whether or not you're in a good mood or not. And you can no one's not in a good mood when they're slightly out of breath from.
Who's going to get me in a good mood?
What's that?
Joe Pici.
You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Boom!
That's exactly it. Do that. Let's do that. Chris Stone, we are inexorably connected.
Sure.
Yes.
We are.
It's like when I talk to people that I haven't spoken with in a while or what have you, and we reconnect or whatever. I wouldn't say 9 times out of 10. I'm going to say 7 times out of 10.
Yeah.
How's Chris Stone doing? It's always a Chris Stone thing.
Really?
It's never just Chris. It's Chris Stone.
Well,
it's like
maybe I should do my own thing. Go out solo. Kind of
That's
like
right,
Paul Stanley leaving Gene Simmons and doing a solo.
That's
thing.
right. I'll be your sidekick.
Okay.
I've tried to be a sidekick. Because I am I'm a good. I can add to the conversation.
You're a good hype man. You're a good hype man. Like a
pitch
rapper's
man.
got a hype man. You're the pitch man. Right.
I'm a pitch man. That's what it is. Gosh, that would have been one of the things that I wish I was. I heard about this guy once, and I may have spoken about him. He used to sell potato peelers on the streets of New York. And he was just there on the site. Look him up. He's like the best salesman in the world. I think that's the YouTube link. And it's this old guy, and he would just sit there on the corner of like a busy street, and he would sell potato peel. And he had this whole big pitch, and it was like you couldn't not stop and watch him. And he wound up living on Park Avenue. Like he earned enough money to live on Park Avenue, like to help people. It was the greatest thing. It was so much fun just watching him finish the pitch and just collect the money and do the whole thing. And like you would buy, this is the guy. Yeah, this is the guy. The best line ever is, he would sell, 1 for $5 or 4 for 20 or so. Well, actually, that's not right. 5 for 20 or something like that.
His
and
name
somebody
is
would
Joe AIDS.
Yes.
Or ADs. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Probably I'm going to say ADs because I don't think that's a good
I saw like a documentary on him when I was a kid because he was famous back then. And he was saying how he got started, and he got started in England after the war, like when there was nothing but rubble in the streets and all that stuff, and all he could do was sell anything, a potato chip or anything, and he came up with this like pattern, and he built a whole life just by conversing. I just found that so exciting. So if I had to live in another period of time, I would have loved to have lived in a bombed out city where I could just set up shop and sell potato peelers. I bought potato peelers from this guy.
I bet you have.
Yeah,
do you still have them? Are they any good?
Oh, they're awesome. I gave them all away. I bought. He used to say if somebody bought one, he'd say, "What? You have no friends?" He'd like force you to buy the 5. For the deal. Anyhow,
do you think he had cold callers on his staff eventually? Was that?
If you think for one instant that I wouldn't be able to bring it home, you don't know me very well.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
So the whole thing is he was able to transfer money and transfer trust and transfer entertainment with strangers at will. And so it wasn't like he was going back. He wasn't a salesman. The man was a prospector, but he knew how to convert. He knew how to kind of make a complete stranger become someone that not only they need the product that he has, because nobody really needs a new potato peeler, but they want to buy from him. They want to continue the relationship with him. And in today's world, if you're not going to live in a bombed out city selling potato peelers, you can still get the same results of getting new customers from strangers, but you got to do the thing that people just have given a bad name to, but it's the greatest skill for anybody in the sales world of cold calling. And it just so happens that today, just through a stroke of luck, through maybe even through Joe Miller, who can introduce you to near anybody, introduced me a while back to the world's best, and I think that's in the Guinness Book of World Records, cold caller on the planet who can train others in this same skill. And without any further ado, please help me welcome my good friend, Mr. Joe Pici.
Fired up.
Yes.
I'm fired up, man.
Yeah.
Just being around you guys.
Man, look at the guns. Look at the guns on this guy.
These aren't guns. These are water pistols. I'm old.
Yeah. That's right. Well, I got pea shooters, so we're in the same place. I got the pea shooters, you got the water pistols. But I tell you what, Joe Pici, what I've been doing is in between calls, like while the phone's ringing, I'm like I'll do stuff to keep moving. I'll actually do push-ups in between. On a good cold calling session, I'm doing 100 push-ups.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Well, listen, not many people can hang with the Deej, but what you do is you're able to train others better than. Oh, look who's here! Our good friend, Joe Miller. We can't have a DJ Live show here without extolling the virtues of Joe's, the number one connector on LinkedIn.
The number one, no question.
Now, how did you meet Joe Miller, Joe Pici?
You know what? I don't remember. It might have been through Kurt Mercadante. I'm not sure. All I know is I picked up the phone and called him. And that started a relationship. He's been to our sales boot camp, our business of speaking, training, coaching boot camp. We've collaborated on projects. That one phone call has built not only a business relationship, but just an incredible friendship.
Yes. And that happens. And thanks, Dan, for joining us here today. If you have any questions, go ask. The Big Joe is here. He doesn't come cheap, so you might as well take advantage of it. But that happens to me more often than not. I can think some of the best friends that I have today were absolute cold calls. Do you find the same thing?
Well, I think cold calling has a bad rap because people don't understand what a cold call is. Oh. And hidden in all of what you said prior to me coming on the show was the right word. A cold call is a prospecting call. It's a qualifying call. It's to find out if there's anything that you do for their benefit that they want to know about. And people get this aversion to the phone because they haven't learned the skills and strategies and also the psychology of why they're dialing that phone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess here's the thing. So my son has a junk removal business, and my son-in-law is working with him now as the sales guy going to get more business. And they're doing some commercial stuff, but it was a slow week for whatever week. And so he asked me, he said, what do I do? And so that's it. I said, hop on the phone. And so for that business, and they went and they called some, customers, basically, will be in the area. You got any junk? That was the call. Anyway, they got 4 jobs.
Right.
Someone just, I got a pool table. I need to get rid of this pool table. What am I going to do? They don't think about it. So anyway, 4 jobs. In 25 minutes, hopping on the phone. But that's for the junk removal business. How do you deal, Joe Pici, when someone's selling consulting services for IT?
Okay, so I think, and I just got off a sales call on a cold call. I mean, right before this show, a $55 million logistics trucking company. Okay, there is no difference who you're calling. There is no difference what you're selling. What the difference is the value proposition, what the benefits, results, and solutions are that you provide that either open a door or close a door. So I think we get into and when I talk to the president of sales, and she says, how much experience do you have working at a logistics company? And I said, none. My expertise is that I can help a professional person that wants to be better at sales book more appointments, get to the guy with the checkbook, the right person at the right time for the right reason. Therefore, it is a qualified call. Did I answer your question?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. By the way, you're answering my question the exact right way. I don't know if anybody heard that, but he said, did I answer your question? That was a close at the end, a little trial close to get me to talk, to let me know that he was done there. And so now that part is done. I find the same thing. People will ask me, how much experience do you have in this industry? And what you did there was just magical, because you said none, which is basically exhibiting total and complete honesty. You're going to go to something else, but you just told me about yourself instead of someone trying to weasel their way in and out. So how do you deal with new people who are calling for the first time, who really don't have experience in anything, and they get asked questions like that?
That is a great question. And I don't mean to say it's a great question just to say it. It is a great question. It's the most biggest question I get. What about the entry level guy? What about that new business owner that finds himself with no business and all of a sudden realizes they're not going to walk in the door, right? I think it's about processes, procedures, skills, and messaging, not about charisma, not about talent. So we take them through a complete process. Then we're very, very, very focused on the right message. And so anybody can follow a process and anybody can learn skills. What they can't learn is they can't learn Dan Jordan's charisma. What they can't learn is Joe Miller's charisma. You see, you guys have charisma. You guys have talent. You can't duplicate that. You can only duplicate processes, procedures, messaging, and skills. So that's where we camp out with our training. The other one, let me give you the second half of that.
Yeah.
We do it live. We do live outbound telephone call training. I know a lot of people that will listen to your show have been to gobs and gobs of training, and role play is a big part of that. I don't believe in role play. I believe in real play. When it comes to the phone, I will not take a sales training contract unless we're going to do live outbound telephone call training in real time to real prospects, because I can only coach what's real. I can't coach fake.
Wow.
I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to run over there and get my notebook, because I got to write down.
Dan, it's all recorded. So,
okay.
Just sit back and enjoy the wisdom, my friend.
I mean, but I don't want to forget. I don't want to forget that I don't like role play. I like real play. That is money right there, baby, all over town.
I'm going to get a T-shirt with that.
I love it.
Yeah, that's dynamite. I apologize, but I may steal that. I'll give you credit for as long as people remember that you said it.
Well, it goes back to don't practice on your customers, right? I mean, it equates to sports. Like the only way you're going to get better is get out of like your solo situation and get out with your team, get out with people, get out and interact and do it on the field.
Yeah. When I was a football coach, I didn't believe in monkey rolls. I could see no value in doing monkey rolls. You don't do a monkey roll during the game. So every practice was scripted with a clock running, and every practice was game-like situations. Well, it's the same thing in training. When people walk into our boot camp, okay, or when I go in to do corporate training, or when someone works with me one-on-one, there's a portion of that training that we are going to pick up the phone and call real prospects in real time. And so I can coach them on the run, and they always get appointments. I mean, we bang over 90% conversion getting through gatekeepers in the B2B market. You know, we usually bang about 70% conversion to appointment. And here's something else. We have a script for getting return phone calls. And during our boot camp or during corporate training, that same afternoon, because we do the calls in the morning, we'll get 40 or 50 return phone calls. And people say, people don't return calls. Well, they don't return phone calls because you don't know what to say. And no, I will not give you the secret sauce on scripting on how to get a return phone call. You got to pay me for that.
Boom.
That's money. But so how can people pay you, by the way? What's the best way to get a hold of you and get started with you?
Well, there's a couple ways you get to me. The first way is my favorite way. For a complimentary cup of Joe, you just pick up the phone and call me. 407-947-2590. Pick up the phone. Look, I don't sell. I find buyers. I may not be for you. You may not be for me. And I'm not going to have to apologize when you say yes. Got it? Now, the second thing is go to my LinkedIn profile, Joe Pici. I'm pointing at you. I always dress in black. Our website is PICIANDPICI.com. I'm going to have some free gifts for you at the end, like our Sales Edge podcast. I've got a free webinar for you. But really, if you're at a time and place where you go, you know what? Email marketing is a great concept, but with cybersecurity, it's lost some of its effectiveness. The phone still remains the single most effective way to get to the right person at the right time for the right reason.
Yeah, the speed in which you can discover what's going on in the industry is also nothing beats it. Nothing beats hopping on the phone and hearing it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. You spoke earlier regarding it's the right time at the right place. They need to hear the right thing. So that messaging is important, and it also gets changed based upon the response that's happening there. So do you use that kind of real play to build an effective message, or is that message built ahead of time and then you just run with it?
Another good question. Dan, because you're a consultant, trainer, coach, so many times the client wants to dictate how much time you have to do your training. And I'm not going to let that happen. I need X amount of time to prepare for the phone call. So in our 3-day sales boot camp, by the way, it's coming up the 21st, 22nd, 23rd of October. Anybody that calls me and says, you saw me on Dan's show, I'll knock $500 right off the top. I only have a couple seats left. Okay. We're just about sold out. But in our 3-day sales boot camp, the whole first day is communication styles, listening skills. But the second day is where literally we dig into their target market. We go into value propositions. We go into scripting. I'm a big scripting guy. Okay. We go into what happens if it immediately goes to meeting. How do you position it to go into your sales meeting or / core story? Right. We go into 20 ways you generate leads. Look, once you master the phone, the rest of your life is lead generation. Because I go through a lot of people. And so then when the bell rings on day 3, all the prep work has been done. Now the people who were scared to death, and Joe Miller's been to our boot camp a couple of times, will have entry level right up to 35 years experience. Got it? And on day 3, we'll do 30 minutes of prep work, and then we're on the phone for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I don't go near the whiteboard. Everything is charted. Everything is in real time charted, okay? Because I believe what you measure gets better, and everything in sales should be tracked. And then after we do the phone calls, we do negotiation, we do priority and time management. But the whole key is, we don't just line up and go pick up the phone. Here's your script. I don't sell scripts. I build messaging during the training.
God, I love this guy. I mean, who doesn't love Joe Pici? That's so strong.
Quite a few people. I got a list.
I want to ask some questions and from the inside out. So I want to make sure that everybody gets something from this. But there are things here that you're teaching me here right now. But I want to ask you, one of the biggest challenges that managers run into with their salespeople is, yes, we'll train them. They'll go to your course. They're awesome. They'll even kill it while they're at your boot camp and they're doing all that stuff. And then 3 months later, they've kind of lost their edge again. And when you said about the 35-year experienced person that comes to your boot camp, that's not somebody who has been working on this for 35 years and just, lost their edge. It's someone who's kind of did it their first year and then they need to do it again. And they're just not doing it in the middle. How do you keep people kind of motivated?
That's it. You have great questions.
That's three. That's three great questions. He's counting. He's keeping count.
First of all, we have to understand the difference between keynoting and training. Okay? 99% of speakers out there are really keynoting in a training room. There's nothing wrong with that. Training is different. Training is like a football coach. Every day, there's a coach running you through drills. So there's got to be follow-up. There's got to be, but if you're training to a corporation, somebody at that company better hold people accountable. Somebody better have learned the methodology so they can do some reinforcement work. Okay? And so I have companies that will say, Joe, do you have a reinforcement program? Yes, we do. Okay, I just put together a management training for a company I've been working with for 18 years. And this management training, I work with them in sales and I work with them in collections. And they experience incredible spikes. And then after a while, they'll see things dissipate. And I'll say, the dissipation is not coming from a lack of knowledge. It's coming from a lack of accountability. And so I put together this training program whereby the manager, the people in charge, the VP of sales, can have great listening skills, really understanding the training itself to reinforce, but then has mastered conflict resolution, set accountability standards, and holds people accountable without them quitting. That's important.
So see, listen, I can hear it in your voice. You love this stuff.
Of course.
I know you even without knowing you. You're a tough guy, but you're a piece of mush on the inside. I bet you see two birds, chirping together and you start tearing up. I know who you are. All right. You love meeting new people. You're a people person. A lot of these managers are not, or a lot of these people, they're just not. And so they're, it's hard for them. It's a struggle each day for them to get up and say, and the whole theory about the 10,000-pound phone. Do you have, I don't know, I don't want to call them tricks, methods for which one gets their first call out?
Okay, so let's go back. I don't mean to disagree with you, but I'm going to disagree with you. I am not a people person. I am a task-oriented person that has had to learn, communication skills, learn tactical empathy, and learn that 68% of the population are people-oriented like you, like Joe Miller, that are dynamic in what you do, But I had to learn how to adapt my behavior style to other people. So whereas I am in a people business, I'm still very driven by task. So I have to learn those skills there's Joe Miller. And so now back to your question. So how do you move the 800-pound gorilla? I will tell you. I'm old and I've never been sick a day of my life, not a day of my life, until I went down in February, and it was touch and go. We didn't know how bad it was going to be. But for 90 days, I was at an all-time low, but I knew I need to go back May 1st. So here's the answer to your question. When I got up off the deck and walked into my office May 1st, I did not rely on emotion. I did not rely on my feelings. I did not rely on my love for what I did. I plugged myself back into my process and system. And I did like I did if I was a football player. On Monday, I ran my drills. My drills were, Joe, generate leads, pick up the phone, book appointments, move those appointments to a sales meeting or core story. When you get to that point, they either want a proposal or they don't. You send a proposal, you follow up, you close or not close, and you execute. So I can tell you that the month of May, starting back at ground zero for the first time in my life, I got 28 formal proposals out. Okay. And I don't just send proposals. I say, do you want a formal proposal? That's not a bragging statement. That's just the process took over the emotion. And so each month I've gotten more. Last month I got 40 out. This month, today we're doing this on the 13th of September. I got 20 formal proposals out. That's not a bragging statement. I take no honor in that. I'm just following my process. Now, understand this too. When I finish closing a deal, I'm the one that goes and executes it. So I'm not just full-time sales. I'm doing the training, speaking, coaching. So how do you get out of bed in the morning and look at that 800-pound gorilla? You plug into your process and system, not into your emotions.
Wow. You know, I was going to ask you, Joe, and I see this comment here from the guest who's not really the guest, because we're talking a lot about Joe Miller. And
the aforementioned Joe Miller.
That's right.
You got to use proper grammatical.
And to me, it sounds like this works so well, no matter, you know, if you're 65 years old or if you're 16 years old, as Joe Miller here is saying. Because if you follow the process, and I'm sure there are nuances, but now you've got people that have been born and have always had a quote unquote smartphone in their hand or some sort of device, yet they've developed this fear of actually having a conversation, an audio conversation with a potential client. If, you know, whether they're in sales or any other thing, there's this phobia that
right.
I don't know, is out there. Is there a nuanced way of treating someone that has grown up that way versus someone that is more in our age bracket that always, you know, that remembers picking up and actually making what's called a dial?
Yeah. You know, it's all based on, I have to be able to read them. I don't coach any two people the same. Even when I'm in my boot camp or corporate training, my boot camp, I only allow 26 people. Even though it's a group, when we get to the phones, I'm walking around, I'm coaching them based on their behavior style. Some of them need a pat on the back. Some of them need an arm around the shoulder. Some of them need, come on, man, let's get this done. Okay. I had a 72-year-old grandmother who never sold in her life, sent to our boot camp by her boss, who hired her from church because he felt sorry for her. And he sends her to our boot camp, and she's going to sell tickets to his seminar and get appointments with CEOs of construction companies. This woman never sold a Girl Scout cookie. And I had a guy who had played in the NFL sitting by the door when she walked in, and he looked at me and goes, Joe Pici, you're stealing money. And I said, I'll tell you what, if she follows my system, if she doesn't get any appointments on day 3, I'll give you your money back, or you give me double. And his wife looked at him and she says, don't you dare bet on double. On day 3, she sold 12 tickets and booked 5 qualified appointments. And all she did was do what the process was. And in between every call, instead of like Dan doing push-ups and jumping jacks, she almost cried.
Oh, yeah.
And all I said to her was, Mary, you're going to be great at this. She goes, why do you say that? I said, because the system works and I'm going to be standing here and helping you. And if there's any call that you can't handle, hand me the phone. You see, one of the uniquenesses in the live calls is I'm still making them. So, it's like, I know what they're going through. Somebody said to me, why don't you have other people sell for you? Because then I couldn't train the live outbound calls. The minute I put my phone down, how am I going to relate and be able to pass on what I know they're hearing in a B2B market or in the B2C market?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I had somebody ask me once, hey, what's the difference between you and Zig Ziglar? And I'm like, well, I'm not dead. And that's what happens. I mean, that's what happens. There's so many trainers that just train and they haven't sold in years. Like, they haven't picked up the phone. They haven't talked to somebody. They're in, it's I guess a burden, because there comes a time that you get a certain reputation that you've become that which you've abhorred, which was being an order taker. And it happens because you get a lot of inbound stuff. You forget.
Well, I don't think there's a whole lot. I mean, I work with not only cold calls, but warm calls, hot calls, cold calls, inbound calls. And the only difference is the first sentence, how the call established. After that, it's the same game. It's value proposition, leveraging on whether or not you're going to have a meeting or not. It's not rocket science. And so, back to Chris's question about, the generational thing. It is my job in the training to help them understand that it doesn't matter what your experience level is, what your perspective is. Once we have everything in place and we pick up the phone, within the fourth, fifth, or sixth call, all of a sudden they all look at me and go, this ain't hard. And I never said it was hard. See, I never said it was hard. I didn't say, you know what, this 3 days are going to be a root canal. What I say is we're going to have a blast. And on day 3, this training is going to pay for itself. Because they literally book appointments that convert into money quickly.
That is just money. So they're booking appointments and making these calls. Explain to me how that works. Do they come with a list?
Oh, yeah. They have got to bring 50, 75, 100 names and numbers, and we don't want present clients. Got it? We don't want that. Now, I will tell you this. At the end of the second day, I've got to teach them how, if that meeting goes right, if that call goes right to a meeting, I got a few minutes now, how to convert that into a qualified consultative sales meeting. And Joe Miller can attest to this because he was there. We had a bunch of healthcare people come, okay? And they were able to convert the equivalent of millions of dollars in real money. We've always gotten real money closed. Not that that's our goal. Our goal is to book appointments. But how many times have you called somebody and you go, I got a few minutes right now. What are you going to do? They got to be prepared to take it bell to bell. We want to teach people to go full cycle.
That's money. Well, actually, what do you mean by that? Converting into an actual call, a sales call. When they say, I got a couple minutes right now. Are you going to just do it there, or is that a qualifying type of experience?
No, then we'll go to work. And then my next question is, okay, so let me ask you a question. The minute I say, let me ask you a question, hold on, because I'm coming. Now we're getting ready to go into our selling meeting. I start every single sales meeting with a question.
Is it the same question?
Pretty much. And see, let's get back to what Chris said. One of the problems is we think we need to change what we're saying to every single person. You don't. You and I both know there's 3 things you got to establish to sell anything. You got to know what concerns them, or what some people say is pain. I hate that word because it's overused. But, what they want to improve. You got to know what they want to accomplish, and you got to establish a timeline. If you don't have those 3 things, nobody is buying anything.
Yeah,
What?
right.
Okay. What concerns? What were they? Concerns them? Timeline. What was the one in the middle? What were the three?
They want to accomplish? What's
What they
important
want
to
to
them?
accomplish? Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'll give you an example. You
it's
know
a
our
quick
verticals.
historical.
Our verticals, all right? We got our sales vertical, which is small, medium, and large companies and individuals, where we do consultative sales. Okay, boom, take that off. But another big vertical for us is we work with speakers, coaches, trainers, and consultants. So if I was approaching you, I'm going to give you a secret sauce here now. This is a secret sauce that I would only give on the Dan Jordan show. If I was calling Dan and I found him on LinkedIn, I just pick up the phone. I go, Dan, my name is Joe Pici of Pici Pici. Did that catch you at a bad time? And Dan would say,
No, you're fine. I got a minute.
all right. Now, they don't normally say that. What they normally say is, what is this all about?
Oh,
Right? That's what they say. It's the
What are you
real
trying
world.
to sell me, right?
And I go, well, let me tell you what I do. I work with speakers, coaches, trainers, and consultants to help them make money with their talent and intellectual property. And I don't say another word. They can say, drop dead, not interested, go for a walk, or they can say, how do you do that, or tell me more. The minute they say that, I move into my next stage, which is now a qualifying statement. So I don't schmooze. I don't pretend I want some relationship with these people. In a cold call, I think you make a mistake with your integrity to allow people to think you really want to be their friend.
Yeah.
I got enough friends.
That's exactly
Well,
right.
it's,
You know what?
in a way, it's considerate. You're like, I'm not going to waste your time. Like, this is exactly what I'm calling for. And if these things are what you need, I'm going to provide this to you. And you just, and I love the fact that you said that, and then you shut up. You shut up. You let them talk.
I don't talk a lot. When I'm on the phone,
very psychological.
am I answering the questions you guys have?
Yeah, and then some.
Yes.
Yeah, this is great. Hey, welcome, Gabe. Good to see you around here. Hotshot, he's one of these. He's another LinkedIn winner.
Good.
Right there, making noise in the marketplace. So yeah, I think that first interaction that you have, you just go there. Hey, did I catch you at a bad time? I use that. Now, by the way, that's in my scripting as well that I do a lot, and I always get pushback on it. What do you say when other people say you shouldn't be negative that way? Instead of saying, did I catch you at a bad time, did I catch you at a good time? What's your response to that?
That's a great, you have really good questions. I'll let you tee it up.
I'm here for you.
I used to say, did I catch you at a good time? I did. That was for 10 years. And then I read the book, Never Split the Difference. Okay? By the negotiation guy. All right.
Yeah, I got the book right there.
Yeah, and he said, "Did I catch you at a bad time?" So instead of being psychological and going into a think tank, I made 200 calls. 100 of them I did. Did I catch you at a good time? 100 I said, "Did I catch you at a bad time?" And guess what? I got better response. Did I catch you at a bad time? So, yeah. Everything we develop, all of our content is based first on us executing something that works.
I love that. Jerry, my man over here, Bubalinsky, but it's Babinski. I say Bubalinsky. I change the name every time I talk to him. He's a great guy. He looks just like that. He smiles all the time. That's my line. I call those the 7 magic words. I wonder if you could help me. But then when I go into it, I say, I do boom, 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 boom. And then my question is, did I catch you at a bad time? And that's what gets me going. So we just fit it in there. But I love how brief and direct and to the point you are. And the psychology is so strong because you're basically answering the questions they have in their head before they ask them. And
they want to know who you are, why you're calling, and what's in it for them. And I answer that in 2 sentences. And then they can either dump me or have a conversation with me. But I want you to understand something, okay? I'm old. I don't have time to play games. I will never talk anybody into a meeting. I will never convince somebody to do a meeting. My closing ratio is high because I only talk to people that are qualified, that are looking for what I deliver. Now, that doesn't mean they all say yes, but it means when we do the meeting, they are qualified and they want the meeting.
Right. And that takes courage to ask those questions. Do you want a formal proposal? Take some courage. That's really a closing question right there. How do you get a 76-year-old woman in church to do that?
She read the script. I'd like to tell you I've got this magic over people. I don't. Because and Chris said something that was so vital, and so did you, Dan. What do they do when they go home? If they don't own it and they can't handle it in the training room, they're never going to handle it at home. That's why the real calls are so valuable. And what happens is, I can tell you, a lot of times right after we're done, we go to lunch. People stay in the room and go, can I make more calls? And these are people that didn't want to make calls. And then you'll get that person that comes and goes, I forgot my list. About a third of the way through the calls, they see people banging them out, and they see people aren't rolling over and dying, and they go, I got to find some leads. Yeah. And believe it or not, they go in there, they find leads, and they start making calls, and they walk out of there. It's always amazing because they walk out of there, and most of them, the training's been paid before they get back on the airplane.
So, and that's, I'm putting myself in the position, because I too get just revved up when I'm around people. And if you see other people, things doing, other calls happening, I'm an old stockbroker kind of boil room guy. I mean, I'm there. There's a buzz in there that gets you rocking and rolling. And then you come home to your basement.
But I don't let the buzz happen in the room. Stay with me. Right. We're in a room that's about 3,000 square feet. Got it? But during the phone training, I have permission from the hotel that I literally can use the lobby, which is empty, out by the pool, because we live in Florida. We spread them out. And I just walk around the whole time coaching them up, right? I don't want it to sound like a boiler room. And I don't want them to feel like it's a boiler room, because I want this to come from the strategy and technique, not from outside motivation. I don't do rah-rah stuff. I don't jump up and down and go fired up. And that ain't going to happen, because that'll last about 32 seconds.
Yeah, it lasts about 32 minutes with me, but you're right. It ends a lot quicker than what you're doing. This is just so important. Who, before we get into other stuff, like, who is this really perfect for? Like, who are the people that come here that succeed the best, that year after year they keep on showing improvement?
Okay,
What's
so here's
the
the thing.
Perfect client for you.
About 85 to 90% of the people who come to our boot camp are first timers, but I get repeats. They'll come every 2 years, so it's not the same people in the room every 6 months. All right. But the people who most benefit from this training are entrepreneurs, salespeople who have relied on referrals and inbound and decide it's time to go outbound. Okay. People that want to sharpen their skills. Look, Joe Miller doesn't need anybody to train him or motivate him. Why he comes back is, once a year he decides, I just want to get around some like-minded people, sharpen my skills, do 90 straight minutes of, one of the problems with people is when they're in their home office a lot of times, or in their regular office, they get so distracted. Mm-hmm. And so we build this training in a way that I build my day, which is time blocking. Right. And so that's the key. We're trying to set this up just like you would set up a sales team. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so again, the kind of people that I've had companies bring a team that were all inbound, and they decide the gold is in the outbound. right?
Yeah.
And so I work with them on their scripting, on their inbound. But then when we're on the phone, it's time. Hey, look, let's take their leads. Do you know that national statistics say 78% of inbound leads never get called, never get contacted?
Wow.
I know it. 78%? That's insanity.
And 98% of inbound leads, the business goes to the first person that made the call.
Wow.
Do you know
First in,
100% of the people that I call get calls from me?
100%. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Your phone
100%.
works 100% of the time.
Yeah. And here's another one. Nobody will hang up on you. This is a good reason to ask questions. So this is a big one. Nobody will hang up on you while they're talking.
That's right. You're right.
You know,
that's a t-shirt right there.
That's
We
right.
got two t-shirts.
You got to get them talking.
We got
Ask
two
those
t-shirts.
questions.
So far, we got two t-shirts.
You mentioned Florida. So how did you get started in this business?
Oh, that's simple. I was a football coach, college football coach. We were 9-2, ranked 4th in the nation. Got fired. We were $350,000 in medical debt. Showed up in Southwest Florida. Took a high school job paying me nothing, and had to get into part-time sales to dig our way out. That was the beginning, and that's probably all you need to know.
Isn't that great? Yeah, necessity is the mother of invention. You just got to figure out that's the question that people need to ask. How do I get a new customer today? How do I earn some money today? How do I get some profit today? And how do I get in front of more people today? And eventually they come back to the phone, because it's the quickest and fastest way that you could get to the top of your industry, just by picking up number one. And people are afraid to do that. I can't tell you how pumped up I am again, Joe Pici. And I was cold calling right before this call.
Yeah, I know you cold call. Believe me, I know that.
I think people need to do it an hour a day, every day, whether they need it or not. Whether every coach or consultant or trainer or a salesperson themselves, a lot of times you don't need to. You got a lot of work to do. If you time block, that's what on Sunday nights, I time block my week away. I do time blocking in the night after Deeds Delight. I'm a big time blocker. I'm just all over the. Sunday night, I plan out my week. I build my days around cold calling.
Yep. No, the thing, like even during our boot camp, because we have 2 boot camps back to back. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we do our sales boot camp. But then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we do our business of speaking, training, coaching boot camp, right? They're back to back because some people like to go to both and they fly in. Well, at lunchtime, when everybody else goes to lunch, I make my calls. Because again, I don't have an agent. If I don't get it, all right, we're not eating. And so I've got to stay very top of mind, and I've got to have my list with me at all times. So when people walk out of that room, I flip over my list and I pick up the phone and it's time to go.
Yeah. And also there's something psychological too. I don't know if you find this, but for me, it's always been that leads come in pairs. And so it's something might change in your voice. And so when you're hot, when you make a sale, make another call right away. And I imagine while you're giving the training, while everybody's out there rocking and rolling, you're feeling that juice. You probably do better at that time than you do just at your other times, at the average times. Is that right? Or please disagree with me again. Nothing makes me feel better.
You're a whole lot more intelligent than me. I don't get into that stuff. Here's what I know. As soon as I hang up the phone, I get to the next name. As soon as I hang up for the phone, I get to the next name. When I'm done with that call block, I send the proposals out. Got it? And so I don't stop my momentum. And quite frankly, I have whiteboards all over my office. I'm a big whiteboard guy. One of my whiteboards is everything that goes to proposal goes on that whiteboard. And then when it closes, I circle it. And I have to look at it every day. Okay? Just like in our boot camps. When somebody is paid for the boot camp, they go on my boot camp board. And so I believe that you'll be more effective with your calls and with your sales and with your business development if you visually track things and set yourself up with a war room and create the right environment for yourself.
That's money. That's really important. I got whiteboards all over the place. There's one there. There's one over there. Oh, you put me big. I'm done with the whiteboards already. This is excellent. So talk to me. What else? You got family members in the business? Is it just you?
Me and my wife. It's me and my wife.
Yeah? And you still like each other?
We've been together 52 years.
52 years.
That's
we've
awesome.
been in business together since 1992. So you can do the math.
Well, that's great.
We don't math on this show.
Hey, can I give out a gift before we get late here?
100%.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a great webinar. It's free. There's no upsell to it. Take out your cell phone. Everybody take out your cell phone. And what I want you to do is go into your text message and write one word, Sales Edge. It's got to be one word, SALESEDGE. Some phones will split it, put quotes around it. Sales Edge, you're going to text it to 59925. 59925. That'll take you to a Pici and Pici link. Hit the link. It'll take you to a splash page. When you hit that splash page, you can download a free webinar. There's all kind of information. There's also links to our podcast called The Sales Edge. Comes out every Tuesday. We're up to 466. It's on all the podcast hosts. But get that course. You really, really, really will get a lot out of it. It talks about essentials in sales. But more than anything, call me at 407-947-2590 and give some consideration to that boot camp. It is a game changer. We've had people come in there with no experience, people come in there with 30 years experience, and they always walk away with quantifiable business, not feeling better. I don't know if they feel any better being around me for 3 days, but they get business.
Joe, one more time, text Sales Edge 2 and the number.
What was that?
Yes,
that 555
number. 59925.
There it is. Text Sales Edge to 599255. And there it is on your screen.
Is that correct? Or is it just 15?
No. It's 299. I'm sorry. 59925.
Yeah.
I got one too many fives in there.
That's okay.
Right. Yeah. See, you should have told us that earlier on, because Chris Stone, the world's best producer, is gonna hook you up no matter what. We'll put it on there.
Oh, I know he's the world's best producer.
Well, he's hooked up everybody with all this value. And the Sales Edge, congratulations on the success of that, Joe. 400 and how many episodes on Sales Edge?
466.
Amazing.
And we haven't missed one. We have not missed.
That is outstanding.
We always have great guests. We're going to have Dan in the fall, and I know our audience will love him.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun, but it won't be more fun than I'm having with you here today. So if you have to leave this boot camp, do you have a success story to share with us about this? It's just real interesting to see somebody aside from the church lady, which was great. Do you have any other people that you could share something about it?
Well, yeah. We had people that signed up for our boot camp and they were selling into the medical world, and they were complaining that they couldn't get through to doctors. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure Joe Miller was there that day, but he might have been at a different one. But so they brought 4 or 5 people that absolutely were unsuccessful at getting through the gatekeeper, getting to a doctor, getting to an association. And that day, accumulatively, the 3 of them booked 24 appointments, closed 7 figures worth of business, and it absolutely was foundational to a new business launch that they were creating. Now, I'd like to tell you that's a one-off, But I could tell you that you could call 100% of the people that have ever been in our training and just say this. During the live calls, did you get appointments? Did you get business? Because we live on our results, as you know.
That's great. Jerry Babinski has a question here, Chris Stone.
Yeah, Jerry wants to know, do you do any prep, Joe, on like on LinkedIn prior to making a call to a prospect?
Prep meaning what? You mean send out a long, convoluted warm-up?
No, like preparing, like, you've got a list in front of you, you're going through the names, maybe, find their profile on LinkedIn and get that kind of information, or you just going fully like, hey,
Okay.
I'm sticking to the process.
First of all, if I find them on LinkedIn, and 90%, great question, the 90% of our leads come from LinkedIn. So I've seen their profile. Now, I don't have to dig deep into their psychology and their target market. I see what they do. And so when I pick up the phone and call them, I address what they do and the results, benefits, solutions would be for what they do. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And, I get that too. People ask me, do you have experience in this industry? I say, well, what I really have experience in is your customers. I know what your customers, to help them get there. And that really just changes it right there. After enough experience, you kind of know that everybody's pretty much the same. They all want the same.
Yeah. Don't you think, like, if you can just get paralysis by analysis, right? You're getting too much.
Spend so much time researching and putting stuff in HubSpot, that they don't sell. I think you put stuff in your CRM after hours. But, I went into a CEO's office. I made a cold call, navigated gatekeeper. I walk in, I sit down with him, and I put my hand across the table, and I said, Bob, when I called you up, I shared with you that I could help generate quality leads, book more appointments, and close more business. Is that why we're here today? He went, well, absolutely. Now I'm in the meeting. I don't have to say, look at the picture of the fish. Look at this. Look at that. I'm in my meeting. Now, then I said, good, let me ask you a question. When it comes to your sales team, when it comes to what you're producing, what are 3 or 4 concerns that you have that you'd like to improve? And, he sat back and he goes, Joe, do you know anything about my company? I said, absolutely not. He goes, you don't know about our company? I said, no, you said yes to wanting more leads, booking more appointments, closing more business. After this meeting, I'll know whether or not I should research you. He stopped and he goes, can you teach my salespeople to do this? They spend hours on research and no time selling. I had a friend who used to walk around. He used to walk around and talk to himself, and he would say, when all is said and done, more is said than done.
Wow.
Boom! There's another one I need to write down.
That's 3 T-shirts if you're keeping count, Joe Miller. That's 3 T-shirts we need to
All
make.
right. I love that, Joe Miller. I call that in my discovery call when I'm training, I call that self-solution selling. And so I get them to tell me what their problems, they want this, this, and this, and how they want to get it. And then I sell only to that. That's awesome. Hey, stick around for a couple minutes after we log off here.
Absolutely.
But I can't tell you how enlightening this has been. Having you the first time where you just blew me away. And then now I will say you're maybe the second person we had on twice. And I think you need to be a regular. I know I did that sales edge thing at 599-255. And I think that's how we really got to know each other. So I'm a better person having known you, knowing you, Joe Pici.
I'll tell you what, I'm a better person because you keep me loose. I'm not a loose guy. I need somebody to make me laugh. And you are intense with humor.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm gonna write that one too.
There's a T-shirt for you.
Yes. Well, we're gonna do this for reinforcement training every week. Chris Stone, once again, knocking it out of the park. You really have when you have to deal with Joe Miller in the background there. It's a rough thing. And so
thank you, Joe Miller and Jerry for joining us. David Webb, lots of great people. Gabe, Dan, Gershenson.
Yeah, Dan Gershon. He's a great friend of mine, coaching client. He's killing it up in Chicago. Great marketing company. Great marketing guy.
All right. Yeah,
Awesome.
I'll make sure you link in with me, Dan. We'll do it together and rock and roll. And for all you out there watching, remember, get on the phone and pound away. Nothing bad can happen if you pick up the phone and talk to somebody. Have you ever lost anybody? Has anyone died on a call with you, Joe?
Never.
Never. Yeah. So you won't be the first. I wish nothing but good things to happen to you all for the rest of your lives. Eat well, live long, prosper, and go get them today.